Hello everyone, welcome to the Saudi Fitness Talk Show. This is episode number 1, where we talk about everything BS before Saudi. Me and Adam discuss our sporting backgrounds, where I used to swim, and Adam used to play rugby, and all the different things he'd done in the past. And we took from this episode that you have to let go to grow.
Adam and Todd, ready to make a change. In the heart of the desert, where the sweat drips like rain. Talking fitness and coaching, finding strength in every stride. We'll pump up your motivation, take you on a wild ride. Fit Talk, here we go. It's time to get in the zone. Rocking and rolling, we'll help you find your own.
Welcome, Saudi Fitness Talk Show, episode 1. This is a new era.
Correct.
With Adam, obviously, and
Todd.
So, we're going to kick things off today. We thought it would be the best way to start this podcast series and this talk show series is really to start, from the past. We've got to address the past first.
Start in the beginning.
Exactly. Where it all starts, like the dinosaurs, yeah. So where it all started from, and so you guys know a little bit about us and have some context about who we are, what we've done, and how we've got to where we are today. So maybe Todd, kick us off with where it all began. Look, don't make it War and Peace. Yeah,
okay. Keep it concise.
Keep it relatively concise. We don't need to know about your childhood, what your favorite foods were,
not interested.
And what your first food was as a cucumbers or some squash or stuff like
I
this.
think it was probably beef.
Yeah, and the other thing we need to address today is that we're both in black. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in the beginning, so.
There was light.
There was light. Started playing sport young, doing lots of different sports.
Mm-hmm.
Main 3 were trampolining.
What?
Trampolining. Sorry.
Yeah.
Judo.
Okay, that's more respectable.
I think I got to yellow belt or red belt or something.
Yeah.
Not very good, but I was tiny. I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
And then swimming.
Okay.
And then all that fell behind.
Yeah, I mean, you got trampoline, gym, swimming go nicely.
Go nicely together. A lot of stretching.
Yeah.
No gravity.
But, well, at least with at least you're getting some, force coming down.
Some jumping.
I mean, trampoline is tough.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, that's why I stopped. So
Exactly.
To stop that pretty quick. Started swimming, and then the training ramps up really quick with swimming. You're doing like.
At what age?
So when I was 11, I started doing my first morning sessions.
11
years old.
Well, doing twice a day.
Younger actually. I was 9.
Yeah.
I was in year 4 at school.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was doing once a week in the morning at 5 a.m. and then the rest were evenings.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of 5 times a week training at 11. So it becomes a lot quickly.
So you specialised pretty early then?
Very early. Yeah, very early. Too early.
So you did the opposite of what?
I did the wrong thing, basically. But back then, it's not that
This
long
is
ago.
why you're washed up so
I'm
quickly.
a washed up meathead so fast.
You're washed up so quick.
Exactly, yeah. No, just nothing left. So yeah.
And you just did swimming from 11 years old?
Just did swimming. I obviously did school sports, did a bit of like cross country, bit of rugby, football, all the PE stuff, but nothing serious. It was just swimming from then.
Yeah. It's total opposite for me. I mean, it was like, I was playing every sport under the sun.
Yeah, doing everything.
From the age of, I played football. My dad was a massive football fan. He's a Birmingham City fan. Okay. So he was nuts. And, he only wanted me to play football, wanted me to be a football player, everything.
It's pushing you that
So
direction.
we played garden, football. I played in the local team, Denham United. Shout out, Denham, if you're still going. But,
still they are.
Playing football, we used to train and then, games on the weekends, Sunday football, all this sort of stuff. And then when I went to my first school, Caldecott was a prep school when I was about 7 years old. They then introduced rugby, and my father was just like, "No,
don't play that."
Yeah, he was just like, "Well, football's you play rugby, but football's still going to be the
But why did you take to rugby? Why was that the thing? For
I
you?
just gravitated towards it, Then at the school. Well, actually, that was a small detail. At the school, actually only played rugby.
Oh, so you had no choice.
Just a small detail. So I just played it. And it was a massive run. I didn't realize. I was 7 years old, but Caldecott is one of the top rugby prep schools in the UK. Yeah. So we played rugby every single day, played games twice a week. And then I was for the first few years, I tried to play football alongside it on the weekends. I played Saturday rugby, Sunday football,
Yeah, it doesn't work.
plus training,
Yeah.
and you would go out to train, and I was just like, this is getting too much.
Yeah.
You know,
So when was it you specialised in rugby?
Oh, no, I didn't specialise in rugby till I probably about 16.
Yeah, that's a better age than 11.
Yeah, because at the time, because the school was very sporty, so you know we'd play very seasonal. So we'd do rugby during the winter and spring. Winter 15s in the winter, 7s in the spring. Then we play cricket in the summer.
Yeah,
but then I also play hockey. I play squash as well in the winter. Used to play everything. Played tennis. Used to play all different sports going on at the time. But, you know, the school was very, very sporty, so we just did everything going.
Yeah, my school wasn't super sporty, really.
Yeah,
it was just PE once or twice a week.
Yeah, and we did PE as well.
Yeah, so that was all I had, really.
Yeah. Basketball, everything.
I suck at basketball so bad.
What were you? Were you 6 foot, 6'1"?
About 6 foot, yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
so not tall enough to just have a natural advantage. But, you know. And then what happened? So swam for like 10 years. When I was 16, and my first S&C coach, Rob Anderson. Shout out Rob.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's listening. It's probably our number one.
He won't be
fan.
listening to this one.
Not this one.
He might listen to this one in like 10 years' time.
In 10 years and go, oh, they spoke about me.
Yeah, but not now. He's not going to.
So he was really good, actually. He got me into lifting and did all that stuff with us.
Rob was at St Mary's, wasn't he?
He went to St Mary's, I think so.
Yep.
He's doing his own thing. He went to Scotland Rugby at one point. Now he's got his own gym.
Yeah, I remember he was at British weightlifting. And,
yeah, decent weightlifter, did all that stuff. So he got me into coaching to start with. And I realised, the gym is way more fun than just going up and down looking at a black line for 2 hours at a time.
Yeah. I don't know how you. I mean, I just look at counting tiles or looking at the black line.
You have all sorts of things in your head. You're singing songs. You're trying to you set yourself these little challenges. So you're swimming next to someone. You're like, right, I'm going to make sure my feet touch on the turn faster than them. Yeah. You're just trying to keep yourself busy.
On the next thing.
On the next thing. Yeah.
The next tile.
The next tile. They come by quick, as you get better. Yeah. So did that. Then ended up going to Plymouth. Followed my coach from Pool Swimming Club, Robin, French coach.
This is the French dude, yeah?
The French dude. You've heard a few stories.
Yeah, you told me a few stories.
Yeah, great guy, Robin. Shout out. But he was probably my first.
He humbled you, yeah?
Oh, for sure.
He took you from a boy to a man,
Beat me down and then built me back up.
Everyone needs that, though.
And you need that.
Every boy needs that.
Yeah.
Someone to beat them down, be an arsehole, be the first arsehole.
He was my first arsehole.
Yeah, you need it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think boys need that, guys. Because that's it. You still got boys who are in their late 20s. They're still boys now in their 30s and even in their 40s.
They haven't grown up.
Never grown up.
Yeah. Oh, so he did that for sure. He was brutal, but taught me a lot of good lessons. So I ended up following him to Plymouth. When I got to Plymouth, I swam for 2 years, but I started a degree in sports rehab and it had a strength and conditioning component as well. I was already kind of thinking, I want to do this. My dad advised me, look, you should pick something that you're interested in, you're going to like. Don't think, I pick something that's going to make you loads of money. Just pick something you enjoy. The money will come down the line.
Yeah.
So I went with that.
Very opposite to my father.
Very opposite. He's like, no, don't enjoy your work.
Yes. But you know what? I was so confused. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was so confused all over the place. I stressed my dad out so much over the years.
Yeah. I mean, same. Trust me. So, and even when I picked that degree, I was still like, I just want to swim. I didn't really care. It was just like a thing. Yeah. Maybe it has some relation. Maybe I can learn about injuries so I can fix my own and do this kind of thing. It wasn't really because I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Then the more I got into it, the more I enjoyed it. I ended up stopping swimming. Went through that degree, finished it, and then came back to Bournemouth, started at St Mary's, worked with a gym called Team CC back home, was there for 2.5 years, and then went to Dubai for a year, and then got a phone call from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, who was on the end of the phone call?
It was you, unfortunately. Telling me to get a haircut and a shave.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Still right. Probably
too right. Thing. You still need to shave a little bit more. But
I'm not copying your facial hair.
You will slowly.
Not yet.
You're going to slowly. These bits are going to disappear.
Slowly disappear.
Like month by month.
Just an inch at a time.
Yeah. Then I'm going to have to do something else.
Yeah. You have to change.
Yeah. So, I mean, swimming, But why didn't you continue swimming then? Why?
So I got to the point. So I was competing at national level.
So I imagine you got to that point where it's like you had to make a choice.
Basically, yeah. So I got at this point where you might do 2 seasons of training, or like the first season, you get to nationals, you swim the same as last year or worse. Then you do another year, and you get a PB by 0.2 of a second. And I'm just thinking, man, this sucks. And at Plymouth, I was training with really good guys that went on to the Olympics and did loads of good stuff. So I remember there's a guy called Gregor, legend, Estonian guy. He's a bit younger than me. And we were doing Gregor, what a name.
I think you either just pick Craig or pick Gregor, you know?
Gregor, yeah. Estonian.
It's like a Harry Potter name, you know?
Yeah, and we would, actually might be. And we were doing like, repeats, 50 meters butterfly. And I think I was holding something like 29, 28 seconds per 50. And he was just going like 26, 26, 27, 26, just holding these times. And he's like 3 years younger than me. And I'm just going...
Was he assisted?
I don't think so. Well, he's Estonian, so naturally assisted.
No
claim, no, yeah.
I'm just,
just wondering, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he's crazy. And I'm just looking at that going, shit. Like, I've got to compete with that. And, he's not good.
How are you? This like 20?
I was probably 19.
20, yeah.
Yeah. So, you're looking around, you're seeing these awesome guys.
And that's not what you were saying, like that's the swimmer's most
they can,
top, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's when you should be at your peaking at 20.
A lot
21.
of guys peak pretty young. The sprinters go on a bit later, or a bit longer usually.
The strength, yeah.
Some, you get Olympic gold medalists at 18, 19. And, a bit further on. But so, I remember I did my last national competition, and I just hated it. I was like, I actually hate this now. Because, you just do okay. I think I got to the final in the 50 butterfly, did it. He came 7th or 8th or something. It was fine, but it's just not rewarding anymore. Like I was doing, maybe got like the same time as I did the previous year, and I'm just like, fuck this, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next season was coming, so I was still at Plymouth. I remember it was the first day of training. Woke up in the morning, alarm went off at 5 a.m. I just went, nah.
Snooze.
Not even snooze, off. I'm not doing this anymore. So I just literally made the decision then. I was like thinking about going back.
Yeah.
That alarm went off, not doing it. I just thought, focus
I think at that point, it's a similar thing like with me when it was with, even with weightlifting and rugby, both those sports. But it was like, to get to that next level, you have to invest so much more, make a lot more sacrifices, plus make a lot more investments in your time, even money. You have to invest more into, whatever you're doing, get a nutritionist, get a more senior coach, someone who's, all this stuff. It's a big investment in your life. And we know with swimming, unless you are probably, I don't know, the best of all time.
Even then,
Michael Phelps.
Yeah.
Probably some of these guys.
Yeah.
There's not much career or money.
It's difficult to do it, to make a career for sure. And I got. And
you have to go to America probably at least.
Yeah, a lot of people go to America, but it's difficult. Yeah, and it's difficult to make money in the sport. It's not watched widely unless it's at the Olympics.
You either have to be like Michael Phelps, the GOATs, or you have to be like Eddie the
Eel. Yeah.
Eddie the Eel, like the worst, and then you'll be famous.
I'm not from an African country. I can't have that same story. So.
You have to drown halfway through.
That was legendary.
Your 100-meter freestyle, and then you'll be famous forever.
Yeah, so I didn't manage to do either one of those. I was just in the middle somewhere. But that's basically it from me. I think. It was time to finish. You have to make that decision sometimes and just let go. You have to move on when you realize that.
Yeah, you got to let go to grow. Most times, if you want to take on something bigger or do something bigger, you got to let go of the small thing first.
And I think it was the best thing I ever did in terms of like progression for myself, like you said, because I just was able to give myself an extra, 30 hours a week. It was almost it's like a whole day of extra time. I wasn't going to the pool and all the traveling and stuff, plus competitions that you travel for, weekends getting taken up. Had so much more time.
Yeah.
Initially, that was just going out and drinking, but then I eventually reformulated that into.
Yeah, but you got to go through that.
You have to go
that's
through
the thing.
Yeah.
Like, you got to go through those that stage.
Like, a bit of a transition.
Yeah, then you get and that's it. Because if you really wanted to swim, you would have not done that as much.
Exactly.
Yeah. Some people just know that from the age of, like Tiger Woods, because of his father or whatever, from the age of 6 years old, he's going to be the best golfer. He's going to be a golfer no matter what. And he'll sacrifice everything he's got, everything, the environment is set for him.
Yeah.
To go all the way up, when he's 20, 21, when he wins his first, Masters or whatever it is. So, that's it. If you don't, sure, genetics play a big role, but also just the environment that you're born into, that you be able to put in the circumstances of your family, their resources, and where they can put you into school or the clubs, or it's a massive part of it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So what happened when you were 16, 17, you started playing rugby a bit more?
Yeah, I mean, I was playing rugby all the time. I started playing rugby when I was 7 years old, when I went to that school. And then, I was playing everything and doing everything. And then, when I was 15 years old, which kind of started my fitness journey, I went to South Africa for the first. I went to South Africa and played rugby down there for a summer, for like a month, down with the Sharks. They used to run these summer camps.
Right.
Was it summer or Easter? I can't remember now, Easter or summer. And, when I was 15, that's when I went down there. Never trained before. All I used to do before was I used to do push-ups in the mornings, used to sit-ups, even from the age of about 10, 11 years old. I used to do
push-ups in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And they do pull-ups every time you walk through, set that up. Yeah.
And my dad gave me, or I stole it. He used to have it in his office, I remember. Like one of the rollouts.
Oh, yeah.
The ab wheels.
Oh, he's probably the first man
old
to
school,
have one.
From like the 80s, 70s, probably the 80s, sorry, Dad. But, like from the 80s, and maybe he used to have it in his office, and I just took it. No, it's like a white plastic thing with a black wheel on it. And, I mean, he never used it. I never saw him use it. Yeah. Actually, no, once I saw him when he tried to do it. But maybe he could start using it a little bit more. Yeah. But, I took it and I just started playing with it and rolling out. And so I used to do ab rollouts, sit-ups, push-ups. That was about it. And then when I got to about, and then running, of course, like even in the summers, pre-seasons when I was like 12, 13, 14, I used to go do a lot of running and sprints up hills, stuff like that, just on my own. Because my sister was 4 years older, an older sister, she was off doing her thing. When I was like 12, she was 16, so she was a teenager.
Yeah.
I was just on my own a lot of the time, and so I used to just do a lot of this stuff just on my own.
I used to do the same.
I didn't have brothers there who I look up to and see that they were training, or
we've got where I live in. I won't say where I live actually. But back home, Bournemouth area. Yeah, we have these big playing fields at the back of my school. Yeah. And on Saturday mornings or Sunday mornings, I used to run down there. Yeah. I do push-ups. I do stuff up the hill. Try and do walking push-ups up the hill. Just in your own head. Just there's nothing else to do. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know where I got it from, because my parents, my dad was probably, but my mum, they're not physically active at all. Yeah. And I think I just naturally had a thing for it in exercise and sports. I love sport. My dad was very sporty. And then when I went to South Africa, I was 15 years old, went there with a load of other kids, some of my schoolmates, plus loads of other kids from other schools, went down there, about 30 of us. And we lived there, we got housed, and then we went to the Sharks Stadium. It was the ABC Stadium, ABS or whatever it's called, stadium at the time. And, the gym was in the stadium. It was just like, wow. So, like a coliseum.
Must have been cool.
Yeah. I just thought of it like a coliseum. It's like, wow, you see the pitch, and we go in, and, first day of training, so strength coach like, right, who's lifted weights? And all the bigger boys. Those kids who were like 16, 17, 18, maybe even 19. There were some older kids there as well. So they got split off, and they're like, right, you guys 15, right, you're going to go in this group. And he was like, right, here's your first program for the juniors. I was like, look, we never train. He's like, right, beginners, you're doing this program. So you take the program. It's like, I didn't know if it was a good program, bad program. No idea. But all I saw,
you had a clipboard with the classic. Yeah.
Clipboard. I was like, okay, bench press, 10 sets of 10. Okay.
Sounds great.
I was like, oh, sounds fine. Yeah, great. So he gave us 10 by 10, GVT straight away.
Nice. Yeah.
Practice. Yeah. I remember picking up that 20 kilo bar first time, like nearly smashing myself in the face, all unbalanced. I've never picked up a barbell before. And first session was 10 by 10 with a 20 kilo barbell.
So sore afterwards.
Oh yeah, horrendous. And then I remember because everyone was like, there, we all went, we did bench press, squats, deadlifts, rows, bent over rows, all with just a barbell basically.
Just getting you to practice.
10 by 10.
Yeah.
You go, I go, you go, I go. Me and my mate, Spooner. And we just used to, that was it. And then, by the end of the tour, we were doing like 45 kilos for 10 by 10 within 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So, and that's it. Like, it's such a fast, over 100% increase. you know, within 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And then like my body weight went from within 4 weeks. I put on like 5-6 kilos in a month.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, got jacked.
And we would go to the supplement store afterwards down in the malls, and we'd get all the protein powders. You know, we get all the mass gainers, having like 1,500 calorie shakes.
Yeah,
and get creatine. We get like everything, caffeine pills, and yeah, that was actually the first time. Because in South Africa, it's very loose. You know, you can, you know, they were selling ephedrine just behind, like in the supplement shop. You know, I remember we took it. And we took it like not even know. Like one of the guys was like, "Oh yeah, it's a bit like caffeine." We're like, "Okay, fine, great." So we just put it in.
Yeah, 15.
And then what happened was, then we had to go back to the stadium. We had a lecture, you know, workshop. You're going through all the strategy of the game that was coming up and everything. And I remember just sitting there, just like, I was just like, "Fuck." Yeah. My heart was just like pounding. I was sweating. I was just sweating like hell.
Just
you know?
sat still.
And just standing. I was just
took it at the wrong time.
Oh my god! And like my friend, there's like 3 of us were taking it. We're all just like, oh my god! Like, it's just normal. Our heart rates were like 160 or something like that. One, you know, just sitting there.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it was like, right. And then after that, I never took that shit ever again.
Never again.
You know, I was like, this is mental. I'll just stick to, you know, the caffeine pills or whatever it was. But then we just got, you know, it's just amazing. It was such a cool experience. It's so vivid, the experience. Because I remember, like, you remember the Beast, the prop forward for South Africa. Yeah. I remember him shoulder pressing like 65 kilo dumbbells for reps, like 8 reps.
Yeah.
And I remember just seeing all these monsters.
Yeah.
And just being like, these guys are just awesome.
This could be me.
I was like, I want to be like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And these guys jumping broad jumps like 3 odd meters, and you're just like sprint, you know, just unbelievable athletes. And that's where it kickstarted. I was just obsessed. So then I just, you know, trained, and then I got my first coach when I was like 17 years old. Picked me up, started training, and that was in like my last year of school. Got really into it. He fixed a lot of my you know, issues. I had a lot of issues, structure. I was just training and just doing stuff. Yeah. And you know, Walshy, you know, and he still uses me as a case study to this date, like 15 years on in his lectures. But yeah, so just, you know, there, and then I went off to play rugby. That's from 16, so yeah, so I was specialised. And then from the age of 16, 17, 18, I just played rugby. Yeah. I dropped all the other sports. Yeah. And then just played rugby, focused on that. Was playing London Irish Academy at the time, down in Sunbury. And then I went to Bath University, so I played down at Bath Rugby Club with them. I was in the academy there for a year, playing uni and academy.
Decent facilities down there.
Yeah, that was like my dream. That's why.
That gym.
That's why I chose the university.
The gym downstairs. Yeah, that's awesome.
That's why I chose it.
We used to go there all the time to train. Yeah. Yeah,
and so I went to uni because I left school not knowing what I wanted to do. My dad wanted me to go into the city and finance and banking, and some of my other mates. A lot of the people in my school, they either went into that finance and that side of things, or law, or they went into the military. It's like you pretty much go either way. So I was like, well, I don't really want to do either, you know, because I went to a military school. It was there for 5 years, and
explains a lot.
Yeah, so I didn't. I was like, I don't really want to do that right now. I kind of, you know, I was a bit of a loose cannon, so I was like, right. I was kind of okay at languages, so I studied languages. I went and did Spanish and Russian at university. And, you know, it's so random.
Yeah, it's so random.
You know, I studied Spanish for a couple of years, and then I went to Spain, obviously. So my Spanish was okay. I wasn't the best by far. And, you know, Russian, I was just like, well,
why did you pick Russian?
They might have had some strong people, you know, like...
Yeah, probably. That was what...
I used to watch videos of Russian weightlifters.
I want to learn this.
Yeah, I was just interested in Russian, and you know, my heritage being Polish, even though they don't like each other. But I was just like, you know, let's just do this bit of fun. And so I went off, did a year in Bath, but then I realized very quickly that I hated both these subjects. Yeah. Because the 2 subjects I dropped in very early on, as soon as I could, was English and history. Even though now I actually love history, but back then how they taught it, I was just hated it.
It's different at school.
And so then what I realized was that when I did Spanish and Russian, it was basically like doing a Spanish literature, Russian literature course, reading 16th century literature. I had to read all these books, and like everything. I was just like, this is the worst choice of subject ever.
What I wanted to do.
Yeah. Of everything, and write all these big essays and do presentations. I was like, I can't do this. So what I ended up to do is just ended up playing more and more rugby ended up more and more time in the gym down in
Yeah.
Bath. And Walshy, my coach at the time, was like, right, Adam, you need to go, when you get there, find the biggest, strongest person you can in the gym. You're going to go train with them. I was like, yes, sir.
Yeah. So yes, sir.
So yes, sir. And so literally found a guy called Josh Hill. His father was actually the coach of Bristol Rugby Club. And this guy was, the strongest guy I'd ever witnessed then, especially. You know, he had all the bands and he had the chains on, the bars were bending.
Full West Side.
300 odd kilos of squats for reps and deadlifts, like 400 kilos. Like he was
a monster.
Absolute monster. And so, I would be there training. I couldn't train with him. But I would train next to him, or, in the vicinity of him. We'd talk. He would coach me on a few things, and, I would try and be one of the spotters for him, not just the ones, it'd be like there'd be four of us trying to spot him.
Yeah. Doing nothing if it fails.
Yeah. Like these arms are going to do nothing.
Doing shit. Yeah.
And with 250 kilos on a bench press, like there's nothing. So yeah, just trained there. Just got really into that, and I was like, I don't want to be anymore. And then things started picking up with Scotland rugby.
Yep.
Started playing with Scotland more, going up to Edinburgh, and that. Then I got selected for the Six Nations, and then for the World Cup, the Junior World Cup for Scotland. Went out to Argentina and played out there.
What's the relation to Scotland?
My mum.
Your mum? Okay.
Yeah, my mum was born there. She's born in Elgin. Okay. Up in Scotland, and then I think after because my grandfather was working up in the Navy up there, in Scotland, and so then he came. Then they came down after like a couple of years, and then she came down south. But so yeah, played for Scotland, and that was good fun. But again, I wasn't the best rugby player. I was good, but I wasn't never the best player. But I just physically was good, solid, and especially once I started training and strength training and doing stuff with Walshy, that's what got me selected. We had like the fitness trials, and they ran like a Scotland strongest player. So we used to do for the selection processes for like the World Cup, we had to do this whole fitness testing and assessment for a couple of days. It was like a week-long testing of different stuff, and and I won it. I just smashed it with everything. So I did like 95 push-ups in a minute. And we had to do carries, and I was like, because back, especially at that, what was it, 15 odd years ago, S&C, we just started. It was not even really a thing yet in schoolboy level or anything like this.
Yeah, wasn't well established then.
No, not like now. And so but I'd already had a good 2 years of training. Was already deadlifting about over 200, squatting at 160. Yeah, at 80, bench pressing I was bench pressing 140 odd at that time. So I was already a good strength. Yeah, that is. So compared to all the other Scotland boys, I was killing it. Yeah,
couldn't play rugby, but
couldn't play that well rugby. No, I was on the sub, but I was the impact. Player.
Come in and beat people up.
Yeah, in the scrums, I'd dominate people. I was a hooker, so I used to just come and just dominate. A lot of the scrums, and I was flexible as well. I was very mobile. So, on opposition ball, I could loop it, get my leg round, and hook it. And really, because Walshy did all this stuff. We did lots of mobility training. We did lots of strength training. It was just an advantage at that point. Now everyone's everyone's strong and everything like this. So even nowadays, I definitely wouldn't have probably got selected, but back then. But so yeah, and then Scotland. Then went to university. I changed. Walshy helped me get in, start doing sport rehab, St Mary's, and then was there for 3 years. For me, just treated that pretty much like a job. I wasn't a big fan of university. I just saw it as a job. Go in, get the grades and everything else. Did well with that, with rehab, got really into it. Then, did some great placements over the years with London Welsh, some rugby teams. One of my lecturers, Chris Paul, had his biomechanics lab, so got really immersed in all that. And similar thing like we were swimming, with rugby, I started, training, coaching, let's just say helping out with a lot of these guys in the rugby teams, and seeing how broken they were at 30 years old. I'd already picked up a lot of injuries myself. But seeing some of these guys who are in their 30, 32, and towards the end of their careers, and they're held together by tape. Yeah. And I was like, and I was still playing rugby, and I was like, I don't want to be like that. And, and I really knew, I looked at myself in the mirror and was like, you're okay, but you're not great. So you could keep going down this path of trying to be a professional rugby player. I was playing semi-pro. I was playing in the National League. I was playing the A League for Bath and this stuff. But I was like, I didn't want it enough. Yeah. I wasn't hungry enough for it. Because I was having these doubts and really seeing the kind of playing field of what happens to you at the end of it. seeing friends just get so many. I had so many concussions. I had about 8, 10 concussions.
Also explains a lot.
Shoulder dislocations. Yeah, exactly. So many injuries, and I was just like, it's only going to be. It's only a downward here from here.
Yeah.
And especially with rugby, especially at that sort of level, when you get into like, Premiership, Nat 1 or A League, and you're starting playing with the big boys and guys who are really keen and really love it, and they really want it,
still into it like they were 16,
and if you
17.
don't have that love or hunger or heart for it anymore, it's not a nice place to be playing rugby at that level. You're just getting smashed, especially in the front row. I remember coming up against this Bristol prop. I can't remember, was it Frampton or he was at the very end of, he was like 45 years old. He was still propping. And I remember we go down, I was playing for Eastshire, we go down like first scrum, and he just looks at me, winks at me, and I'm like, oh shit.
This is not going to be good.
And I was 19, 20 years old at the time. He was 45, been playing rugby, he's been propping. He couldn't run. He was on the pitch to scrum. That was it.
Couldn't push him over.
No. And he just went straight for me, and he just dug his head into my neck and my shoulder and everything, and just like popped me up straight away. And my neck just got bent in half, and I was just like, this is horrendous. You know what I mean? And then all game for 80 minutes, he just went for me. Every scrum. And it was a wet day, so the ball was being dropped all the time. We must have like, 15 odd scrums, something like that. It's just my neck. The week after that game, I remember against Bristol, my neck was just the worst it's ever been. Just been bent in half. And I was just like, this is it. And so then I went, made the choice like you did, right, this is enough. And then, then I started getting into powerlifting. Well, she was like, look, you're strong. Might do some powerlifting for a year or two and see how you get on. So I did powerlifting.
No contact injuries there. No contact.
No contact. And I competed in a couple of tournaments. I won down in Bournemouth. Southeast Championships.
They got a good powerlifting club.
They got a good one down there. And then I competed, I think, in the English Championships as well. But what she failed to tell me was like, powerlifting, you don't have to squat arse to grass. You don't have to go all the way down. So I went into my first meet and I squatted 225 kilos arse to grass.
Upright.
And I got slated and they hated my guts. They're like, you're just showing off, you're being an arsehole. So I went all the way down, all the way up. With a pause and everything. And because that's how I was trained. I didn't know. Well, she always just taught me, right, 4 seconds down, pause at the bottom, stand back up. That's how I trained for 5 years. He didn't play with any of the variables for 5 years. You squat like this. So that's all I knew.
That's what you did.
And so, and only then I started playing, with all these tempos and variables and all this stuff. Like Walsh didn't believe in any of that. We keep the program as minimalist and simple as possible for as long as we can. If you're still improving, you stay on it. Don't change it.
Just rigid.
And then once you start plateauing, or you're getting bored of it, or you're getting depressed from it, then we're going to start changing one thing at a time.
You're 3 seconds down now.
He'd make me stay on programs for like 12 weeks, 9 weeks. He said, you stay on the program until you're depressed. I said, what? So like he said, I don't care. Even if you're plateau, even if you're not improving week, I don't care. I want you till you're miserable.
Keep going.
So he literally get me going, and literally I could be on a program for like 4 months and be fine. Still improving and everything. And then as the years went by, it would get down to 12 weeks, and then it would get down to 9 weeks, and then it would get to 8 weeks, and then it'd be 7 weeks, and then now it's like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. You know what I mean? But for performance, like if you're trying to push for that, now I'm just training, whatever. So it's and so we did powerlifting, did well, won a few things. Basically, got kicked out of powerlifting because I didn't really realize. But, I did 225, 230 squat, benched about 150, and then deadlift was about 250, something like that. 250, 260 deadlift. And then he was like, right, why don't you try weightlifting? I was like, all right. And then
you got the squat for it. So
So he's like, you'd be great at. You're powerful. You're strong. You've done a couple of, a year or so of, you got good foundations to start doing weightlifting. I was like, all right. So he started training me. We did a year or so together, and then I went to my first British Championships. I think I came 7th at that, and then I came 7th. Wasn't great. I think I hit like 110 or 115 snatch, maybe a 145, maybe 145, 150 clean and jerk, something like that. And then that's where I met my second coach, Kazim, who then was like the Iranian guy. He was at St. Mary's as the weightlifting coach at St. Mary's, and then he was just like, saw me and was like, I can make you champion, British champion in 3 years. And I said, okay. And then I just went to him. Walsh is like, yeah, great. Because Walsh is like, look, I'm an S&C guy. I don't want to do weightlifting.
Yeah.
Really. So I built your foundations. Now off you go.
Yeah.
Go specialize.
Goes to the next one.
Yeah, go specialize in this, in the strength sport. So that was with Kaz, with him 5 years, trained. We went to Kazakhstan, went to Iran with him. It was amazing. Lifted. And then, 3 years later, literally, he was like this. He could see things and know things before they happen. 3 years later, I was British champion.
Yeah.
I think I did, 135 snatch, 170, 175 clean and jerk, something like that.
Yeah.
And then it was there. So then I, weightlifting was there. Whilst all this was going on, I was, working at a boys' school. I was assistant, head of performance. Then I was head of performance there, head of strength and conditioning for like 8 years there total, which was great. Harrow School was great fun, amazing memories. Did so much with the kids. Took them from an average school, and this was Walshy again who led the program and started it. Very average school at sports and everything. They just wanted to be, good. They didn't want to be the best at anything. They just wanted to be good.
Yeah.
Just okay. Maybe out of your games in a season, they'll win half of them. That's enough.
Yeah.
And then, Walshy and Jesse came in, who's the director of performance and head of sport there, and they just transformed the whole thing. That was back in 2000. That's where I met, 2007, 2008. And then they started schoolboy SSC, basically. They were doing it before in St. Benedict's in Ealing, and then they just took it to another level. Like college in the US.
Yeah.
That was basically the whole thing. So it was a 5-year program. Boys, when they came in at 13, 5-year LTAD.
Awesome. Yeah, really good.
They start basics. So by the time they leave, they've been through every phase you can go through, physically prepared. They've been introduced to all these different types of training, weightlifting, gymnastics, all this stuff. So when they leave, they can then specialize.
Yeah.
That was the whole point. Make it as general and broad as you can for as long as you can for 5 years. Get them as strong as possible, as powerful as possible. So when they leave, they then go do what they want. Then they can, if they want to play sports or swim, they specialize swimming, rugby, football, cricket. We had everyone, athletes, track and field, everything. We had the Commonwealth swimmers go, represent the Commonwealth Games, everything.
Yeah.
Cricket players now playing international cricket. International rugby now.
It's so good to coach kids at that age in S&C. I did quite a bit in Plymouth.
Yeah,
because you're doing lots of different things. You're trying out all these different modalities of training, and they respond so well to it. So I think it's so much fun.
That's the thing with kids. You can that teenage age is amazing because they get so strong. Their nervous system is so pliable.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They progress so quickly. We had kids. 16 years old, deadlifting 230, 40 kilos.
Just increasing so fast. Yeah.
Within one kid, within I think it was about 2 months, he went from never knowing how to clean and jerk in his life, then being able to clean and jerk 120 kilos.
Yeah, ridiculous.
He's 14 years old.
Yeah, just done.
It's just ridiculous how quickly they pick up stuff.
And that sets him up so good for sport.
Yeah.
If he can do that, his sport's going to be, if he plays judo or something, he can throw around 120.
I'll tell you the story about the judo guy we had.
Yeah.
17 years old. He was British judo champion, heavyweight guy. He was a big boy, 100, easily 110 kilos, something like that, 115 kilos. I remember one day he walked into the gym, just come out of lessons, all in his clothes, in his uniform, walked straight in. Kids like, like all this, and because he's a big guy, and they're like, right, I bet you can't lift this. I mean, they put all the weight on the bar. It was about 235, 230 kilos, something like that. Oh, I bet you can't lift that. And they put it all on, and he just walks up to it in his, in his uniform, literally ties, school shoes, everything, and just picks it up. No warm up, no mobilizations, activations.
No
he just walks up and picks it up and puts it down. And everyone's just like even us as coaches was just like, that is ridiculous.
Yeah, we can't do that.
Exactly, we can't do that. And this guy was free.
Yeah,
we had kids split squatting 120, 30 kilos for 6 reps each leg.
Crazy.
They just do one leg, 6 reps, switch over, and do the other leg.
Yeah.
Not like rack it up and rest.
No.
Like it was, and that's we can do another episode on that because that's, about kids and all that stuff. But yeah, it was great. It was amazing times. And then came out to Saudi Arabia pretty much. From there, I was doing consulting in London. I was working in multiple gyms around central London, doing injuries and rehabbing and all this sort of stuff. in different places there around Knightsbridge, and then came out here, had my own business. I did a few. I was lecturing at universities, did a couple of guest stuff at Middlesex and St Mary's on their masters programs. That's it. Yeah,
Nice.
very much.
Yeah. And then one day you met a man.
Yeah, we met
changed everything.
We met a man, the man,
Yeah.
the king, king of Africa. Yeah, but no, I think we'll maybe leave that for the next episode.
Absolutely.
But
It leads on.
But I think like it's just when you hear like your story, with everything kind of sets itself and builds on everything else. You know what I mean? Over 15 years or whatever it is, 10 years, building from one thing to the next, and all these hurdles to get to where we are, and it's everything. It's how you look at things, isn't it? Really, like you can see some of these things at the time. They might be bad situations or really good situations, but they all lead to another thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because life and everything is not a straight path. Yeah. It's not just a vertical climb.
Definitely not.
You know what I mean? It's bumpy, it's up and down, side to side, thrown back, you have to start again or do whatever it is. And I think that's the biggest thing when you kind of reflect on those time periods and you get introduced to all these different things and different people, is that life is never just straightforward. You have to go back. It's like, when you were swimming, that was probably what you were destined for.
Absolutely.
You were looking towards, you were dreaming about going to the Olympics. I'm going to do this. And then one day you was like, nah, I don't want to do something.
Yeah.
I've got to do something else.
Before you know it, you end up in an undisclosed location, filming a podcast. So yeah.
But I think so many people, whether it's with sports, whether it's with business, either whether it's with relationships and stuff like this, sometimes they keep going for too long in something when they already know, when they got on whatever's telling them, before, like, this is not the right thing for me anymore. And actually, we need to stop doing this and do something else.
Well, the lesson for today is you have to let go to grow.
Yes, sir.
That's the main thing. Yes, sir.